Hi, I saw something that insanely triggered me the other day, and I don't normally like to bring my triggers to you, but I do want to talk about it because it has percolated in me a little bit and I've done some work around it. And it was also my birthday. So I watched the show, That Thing About Pam, and birthdays tend to be a place of energetic resonance and an opportunity for rebirth in obvious vibration, because your default is to come in the vibration that you did on your actual birthday. And if you're somebody like me, that means people going, oh my God, you've got to be kidding, put it back, right? Like, you are unwanted. So that was already in my field, right? That like percolation of my default birthday while trying to maintain some semblance of like presence in my actual life, that now I have people that want me and love me, right? So then I see the documentary or the series, That Thing About Pam. And normally those kinds of shows I'm super fine with, because I see a lot of contrast in personality, and I'm curious about how personality pivots and the way that it develops. But this woman killed people with her own agenda. Like, she was absolutely blindly narcissistic. Like, I don't even think this chick knows that she's like insane. Some narcissists like just don't care. I don't even think she knows. So I was watching it, and I think a lot of it is like, she's killing people, she has her agenda. Some people could be triggered by that. None of that bothers me because I'm so used to seeing it. And then this thing happens when it comes to her kid. And her kid comes up to her and she's crying, and the kid in this series acted way too well for my own good. And she's crying, she's got her hands in her mouth, doesn't say a word, she's just standing in her pajamas. And the mom condescendingly looks at her and goes, would you wet yourself? And she kind of was like, again, like it was like alluded to, like, you did this again. And the girl doesn't say anything. She just starts crying harder and shoves her hands further in her mouth. She doesn't even look up at her the entire time. Mind you, this is your mother. She's going to the only person she has She's going to the only person she has to help her. And she's going in shame. She was out of control and she made a mistake. She knew she was going to get in trouble. So she goes in shame ahead of time, and then is shamed for her shame by this mother coming over and jostling her around, pulling down her panties, her wet panties, and sticking them on her head and making her walk around like that, and telling the kid that she owes her for like dealing with her, basically. Incontinence, to me, energetically, in a family system like that, would normally mean that that particular kid is the only person in the family who is asked or made to control their emotions, and everybody else is just flying emotions. And that kid might be the energetic filter, controlling emotions, and because they're a kid, they can't. So they become incontinent and piss themselves, because they have a literal biological need to not be in control. And so this kid is out of control. She pisses herself. That gives her a reason to cry, where she like might be allowed to cry. So this, and in that way, it's like a function for the family. Because this kid is literally stuffing themselves in there, trying to hold their own emotions while everybody else's emotions are flying around them, and they feel it all, and they're pissing themselves instead of sobbing themselves to sleep at night because they're trying to keep it all together, right? So that symbolism is like, I am out of control. I'm coming to the only person who should be in control, that I have, who is my mother, and she is telling me, there's nowhere to go. I'm not here. Don't come to me. You're a child, and there's not one person on the planet that's safe for you. Nobody wants you here. You're a problem, right? And so obviously the resonance is there for me. And that's the problem with complex and continuous narcissistic abuse, is that scene that they described is a feeling that you live your entire life. That there's literally nowhere to go. Like, if I come to you, I'm going to be punished. And you're gonna act like you're taking care of me, but you're really gonna punish me. And there's literally no safety. So then I'm thinking about all of us who grew up without that sense of safety and who grow into people who want healthy relationships. But I would say 3/4 of my demographic that choose to pay me money to work with me are people who are in healthy relationships and cannot let it in because they don't trust what feels safe, because safety is so foreign to this person. They never had a place to go before that didn't hurt them. So if you're acting like you're their place to go, they're like, when are you gonna hurt me? Like, what are you doing here? What do you want from me? You're trying to take something more than I have to give you. Like, what is this? Even if they're in this relationship for 10 years, right? Their upbringing was so dysfunctional that when they meet a healthy person, that sense of safety that they are starting to feel makes them feel unsafe because it's something that they've never felt before. And that is the travesty, right? I work with people who have multiple angles of situations like this. Like some people I work with they're distraught actually because their parents were epically perfect, in love, married for 50 years, love each other, they have each other, and then my client ends up with a narcissist and they don't understand how relationships can look like this because they've never experienced this. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, welcome to my world, girl, right? And they're like, I'm so blindsided, like I didn't know that this world existed. And then there's other people who tend to be my like little favorite people to work with who never saw it. And all of a sudden they see it coming in toward them and they're like, what are you doing? What are you doing? What's going on here? Like, I never saw a model for a healthy relationship and you're trying to fit me into it. There's a lot of resistance to that, right? So I guess what I really want to say is there's part of me that feels rage that I know that happens behind closed doors every single day, and that I can't get to those kids and say, hey, I see that that's happening and I want you to know that like I see you and you're loved. And there is a safe place for you in the world, and it might not be here, but it is, and it will come to you, right? And I feel guilt about not showing up more for this conversation, to be honest, but also that brings up a circular rage for me about the fact that nobody who needs to hear this conversation is going to show up to this conversation, right? And that is sad to me. People who need parenting advice most definitely are not looking for it. In this way, anyway. So I just want to kind of give an ode to the people in the world. So I'll just go here. So I had, when I was trying to process, like, what was this rage that was coming up in me about this particular scene? Like, I saw this chick kill people and I was like, okay, fine. And all of a sudden I see this and I'm like, you know, my inner warrior is like, I'm coming in, kid, like this does not need to happen to you. And you can see in the show how she became that way. Like, I'm not trying to shame Pam for being psychotic, but I am trying to, like, I would like to save the children. And the problem that I have now is that I can't save the children unless I get through the parents, and the parents that need their children saved aren't going to be coming to me, right? So I have to deal with those children in adult bodies who come to me and go, hey, I'm like, I don't know what's going on here, but like I have this place to turn, but it doesn't feel like I can turn to this place because it doesn't feel safe, because I don't trust safety and I don't know what to do. Like, what is going on here, right? They literally feel like aliens in relationship. So if you are a person who has perpetually felt unsafe in your life, and literally the people that you were supposed to go to that were supposed to help you shamed you, well, one, I want to say take soul centering after toxic shame, but two, just ode to you, my friend, because I know now. So I did this meditation, and I'm not I'm a loved woman in like a small circle, but like people hate me. Like, people don't like me, and that's taken me a long time to get used to. Like, there are people on the planet who think I'm a bad person. They think I'm a witch. They think I'm the devil, or they think I'm a narcissist, or they think things about me that are not favorable. And I'm okay with that at this point. But it took me a long time to be okay being a woman who's not liked. And it took me being okay being a woman who's not liked to also be okay being a woman who's actually loved. And what I mean by this is I used to go, the meditation that I did to try to like tame my rage, it showed me, I could kind of show you, I have these awesome curtains that they're cacti and they have roses on them, which is like, I love it because it's like obviously unnatural, but like beautiful. And that the concept to me in my meditation, it showed me why I have those curtains, which was most of my life I spent going up to the cactus and hitting the thorn and still thinking, I'm gonna get something out of this. Like maybe she'll help me, maybe she'll love me, maybe she'll see me, maybe, I mean, it's the only plant you have to go to. It's your anchor, it's your home base. So it's like, it's not even a maybe, it's just like, that's what you do. Like, you're my touchstone. And every time I would touch that touchstone, it was, I'd bleed somehow. Like every time I was just, I needed to lean on something. Nope, not here, you ain't leaning here, right? And that's how I spent the beginning of my life. And I know a lot of people have contrasts where they spend the end of their life like that. So they have this thing that they wish that they could go back to. And that can create a lot of contrast too for somebody and cause a lot of like stress in their inner world. But in my meditation, there was this and it was my birthday, remember? So there was this very profound feeling of like touch the roses, like go to the roses that there are. And the feeling for me was not like touch the roses on this particular cactus. It was that as a person who came into the collective, my mother represents something for me, my father, everybody represents something for me in this way, but that if I use this image as this is the collective, there are pockets in which I am unwanted. And that's true. And that's okay. And there are pockets of the collective in which I am wanted. And they will feel to me and smell to me like roses, right? But so much of my life, I was just trying to go anywhere. Like, please, just give me something to lean on. And I would just poke, bleed, ouch, nope, not here, not here. And then I would just kind of blindly look around like, oh, where can I go next? Like something, anything to like be a touchstone that I can land on. And none of it really felt safe. And sometimes the scarier part is some of the things that did feel safe took a long time to start bleeding, right? So the feeling that I got was go to the pockets of the roses. Like I am wanted, not by the people who had me. And that's a pill to swallow. Is what it is. My dad didn't even say happy birthday. I've read like online comments like my dad, like by like 45-year-old woman, my dad bought me something that for my birthday that really pissed me off because like he obviously doesn't know me if he bought this. And I just think to myself like, my dad has literally never bought me anything in my life. Like I wish I was a person complaining about that, right? So I'm not wanted by those people, but I am wanted. Ideally, if you're right here, right now, you're going, oh my God, I want you, Stace. Like, I know you. And maybe you're not. Maybe you're a thorn. I don't know, but I know that the contrast is great, and I know that there are pockets of places that want you, and I know what it's like to grow up and think that there is literally nothing to lean on and nothing safe, and that when all of a sudden you smell the roses, you think, I'm in a new world and I don't belong here. Like I literally don't know how to navigate. It's like me going to I went to a country club this weekend for the first time in my life. I was like, what the fuck? Like, I've been around money. I've never been to a country club like that. Like, what in the actual fuck? So, and then I was like, how am I supposed to present? Like, obviously, like, how do you eat at these places, right? Like, what is the system here? That's what it's like when you fall into a healthy relationship and you're perpetually a person who's unsafe and feels safe for the first time. Like, what forks do I use? Like, what do I do here? This is not my world. I am not from here. I'm going to need serious training. And your partner, if they're healthy, is going to seriously train you. And you're going to seriously want to resist that fact because you're going to think that they're manipulating you. And maybe they are for your own benefit, right? If they're healthy, right? So somebody said to me the other day too, I want to be my own anchor, because she like defaults a little bit into like, you know, when her mom's around, into her mom being the anchor. But she has a healthy relationship, and I suggest like let this other person who's your partner be your anchor instead of like defaulting to your mother's frequency when you're in the room. She said, I want to be my own anchor. And I get it. But that's just not how we learn. We learn through relationships. Letting somebody else be your anchor who feels like you, who feels loving towards you and aligned to you, even if they're not an expert. Yeah, you're hearing all the noises now. Letting that be your anchor in that other person, and letting them teach you how to be healthy with you and with them and be a whole person, not like a perfect image of something fake. Anchor to them. Let them be an anchor for you. Don't resist that. Don't resist that. I know that it can feel like manipulation, and it can feel like, oh, they're trying to change me. And maybe they're trying to unchange you from the you that you had to change into to deal with that family system, because they actually see you in there, which is kind of like my work. I work with people who have partners who see them the way that I would see them. They just can't be seen. They want to be seen, and then they're seen and they're like, well, I don't know, right? Like, I don't know if I want the person I live with to see me like this, right? Because they don't want to see themselves. They don't want to own themselves, all of the positive and negative parts of themselves that their partner loves. They don't demonize all of the parts, right? So I just want to give an ode to all the people who felt unsafe and who are stepping into a world where roses feel just as uncomfortable as constantly trying to lean into the thorn and bleed, because both take effort and energy to one takes energy for the cleanup and the other takes energy for the expansion, right? So ode to you if you even know what the hell I'm talking about right now, and if you are that little girl. And the sad thing is, people give me shit about like no contact or whatever, because I just don't, maybe it would be saner. But the thing is that I know for a fact that the shit that was done to me was done to my parents. And how in the world could I blame a child who still is that child, who still has nowhere to go? They're still touching the thorns and thinking that that's like what you have to do, for doing that to me, when the contrast for me has led me to a place where at least I know the roses. My parents don't. And I feel a little bit like, sometimes I feel like I leave the world behind when I'm at peace with my life. And my parents gave me that. They didn't make it easy by any means. But they gave me the opportunity, and they gave me the contrast. And I know something that they don't. I know something I would like to teach them. And I can only do that not by blaming them, but by being an example of like, I know that maybe you don't want me, but I can go to the roses. And I know that maybe you don't want this particular scenario the way that it is either for you, but you have the opportunity to be a sovereign being and go to the roses instead of constantly leaning up against thorns or not even trying, right? I just think that people get to a point where they go, fuck it, I'm not even gonna lean against anything. I just never stop trying. Maybe that's the codependent in me, right? So I hope this is helpful. You are wanted. You are wanted on the planet. Right now, obviously, you're going to be like, yes, Stacy, you're talking to yourself because it was your birthday. And you need to tell yourself this. Yes, of course, it's true, right? Thank you for being a reflection. And thank you for even knowing what the hell I'm talking about. And I hope that it is a reflection for you also. Bye.